Hello and welcome back to part 3 of the chapter, where we continue to talk about the coverages of the Employment Act 1955. Let's get back into it. For payment of wages, the Wages Councils Act 1974 gives the authority to specially constituted wages councils to set minimum wages in certain industries, which include cinema workers, shop assistants, hotel and catering workers, as well as port workers. The Employment Act does not establish minimum wages, but lay down certain procedures to the payment of wages, such as wage period, advance on wages, deduction from wages, and priority of wages. This is the minimum wage for year 2016, where the minimum wage for Peninsular Malaysia is 1,000 ringgit, while Sabah and Sarawak is 920 ringgit. This was enforced in the 1st of July of said year. This is the minimum wage for year 2019, where the minimum wage for both Peninsular Malaysia and Sabah and Sarawak is standardized to 1,100 ringgit. This was enforced in the 1st of January of said year. This is the latest and current minimum wage for year 2023, where the minimum wage is increased to 1,500 ringgit. This was enforced in the 1st of May of said year. For wage periods, Section 18 defines wage periods as a contract of service shall specify a wage period not exceeding 1 month. It is at least once every month, may pay more but not less. If in any contract of service no wage period is specified, the wage period shall for the purposes of the contract be deemed to be 1 month. Section 19 of the Employment Act mentioned that employer shall pay to each of his employees not later than the 7th day after the last day of any wage period. If the Director General of Labor is satisfied that payment within such time is not reasonably practicable, he may, on the application of the employer, extend the time of payment by such number of days as he thinks fit. For advances on wages, the Employment Act allows employers to give advance on wages in form of lending money to employees then will be deducted from employees' wages. Employees need to apply from employers upon request for advance on wages and upon deduction of wages for the advance taken. The time for deduction of wages for the advance will follow as requested by employees in the application. For deduction from wages, there are lawful deductions where the maximum monthly total deduction must not exceed 50% of employees' wages, unless for repayment of housing loan, which this needs permission by Director General of Labor, which does not exceed 75% of employees' monthly wages. Section 24 of the Employment Act mentioned that no deductions shall be made by an employer from the wages of an employee otherwise than in accordance with this act. It shall be lawful for an employer to make the following deductions, including deductions to the extent of any overpayment of wages, deductions for the indemnity, deductions for the recovery of advances of wages, no interest, deductions authorized by any other written law. The following deductions shall only be made at the request in writing of the employee, including deductions in respect of the payments to a registered trade union or cooperative thrift and loan society, such as entrance fees, installments, interest on loans, and such. Deductions in respect of payments for any shares of the employer's business offered for sale by the employer and purchased by the employee. The following deductions shall not be made except at the request in writing of the employee and with the prior permission in writing of the Director General of Labor. Deductions in respect of payments into any superannuation scheme, provident fund, like EPF, Employers Welfare Scheme, Lok Sok, or insurance scheme established for the benefit of the employee. Deductions in respect of repayments of advances of wages. Deductions in respect of payments to a third party on behalf of the employee. Employer are not required to pay wages in the following situations. Employee is being held in custody. Employee is in prison. Employee is required to attend a court such as on a hearing or trial, except if he or she is a witness for the employer. Section 31 of the Employment Act mentioned that employees receive priority over all debtors of employer. Employers can be forced by court to sell off properties or assets to pay employees' wages, but only for maximum of 4 months. In terms of employment of women, Section 34 of the Employment Act prohibits of night work for women. No employer shall require any female employee to work in any industrial or agricultural undertaking between the hours of 10 o'clock in the evening and 5 o'clock in the morning, nor start work for the day without having had a period of 11 consecutive hours free, unless with prior permission by Director General of Labor. Section 35 prohibits women on underground work where no female employee shall be employed in any underground working. Section 36 covers prohibition of employment by minister, where the minister may by order prohibit or permit the employment of female employees in such circumstances or under such conditions. For maternity protection, under Section 37 of the Employment Act, every female employee shall be entitled for maternity leave for an eligible period, normally 60 consecutive days in respect of each confinement. Female employees can receive from her employer a maternity allowance to be calculated or prescribed as provided in subsection 2, in respect of the eligible period, where she has been employed not less than 90 days during the 9 months immediately before her confinement. She has been employed at any time in the 4 months immediately before her confinement. However, the female employee is not entitled maternity leave/allowance if she has 5 or more surviving children. Here's an example situation. A pregnant woman gives birth after working for an employer for 2 months. Is she entitled to maternity allowance? Try pausing the video and think for a quick while. Here's the answer: no, she is not. Although she fulfills condition B, but not condition A, as she has worked for only 2 months, the law requires it must be at least 90 days. That's all for now. We'll continue the final part of the coverages of the Employment Act in the next lecture. We hope you understand and we'll see you in the next lecture.